In recent years, Futurama, the second animated sitcom from Simpsons creator Matt Groening, has garnered a lot of praise and love from people my age, the early 20-somethings. And while I do enjoy the show and I think it's good, I think that at this point in time, it's kind of a bit overrated. Futurama premiered on the Fox network in March 1999, and to this day, its first episode is the highest-rated pilot in the network's history. Unfortunately, in spite of favorable reviews and initial high viewing figures, Fox screwed the show over time and again during its original run. It was constantly moved around the schedule, preempted by sports broadcasts, and wasn't advertised, resulting in the 4 production seasons being stretched out to 5 broadcast seasons due to the network falling behind in airing episodes. The show was officially cancelled in 2002, but the last episode wouldn't air until 2003 due to how negligent Fox was. It was also in 2002 that Cartoon Network's late-night programming block Adult Swim would acquire the syndication rights to the show, and it was there that audiences were able to watch it consistently. The series would return with 4 direct-to-DVD movies in 2007, and was officially picked back up by Comedy Central, who ordered 2 more seasons which, like on Fox, were stretched into 4 broadcast seasons. Despite the continued praise garnered by the show, Comedy Central canceled it in September 2013. That's what happens when your show is on Comedy Central and not named South Park. I'll miss you, Important Things with Dimitri Martin. However, in 2003, a Futurama video game was released for the PlayStation 2 and original Xbox, as well as for the GameCube in Europe. There wasn't really any fanfare for it as far as I remember, it just sort of appeared on the shelf at my local Hollywood Video and I decided to try it out. As a kid, I sucked at it, but now I'm feeling much more confident about it. The game came out the same year as The Simpsons Hit and Run and was also published by the same publisher, Vivendi Universal. And right now it goes for about $60 on eBay, which, considering that it's an original Xbox game, that kinda says something, either that it's rare or just really that good. Well, I'm willing to find out, so let's take a look at Futurama the game for the original Xbox. The story kicks off with the professor wearing a funky hat, telling Fry, Leela, and Bender that he sold Planet Express to Mom because they've been losing money and the crew never actually charged anyone for the deliveries they made. After expressing that the buyout isn't the end of the world as they know it, Fry turns on the TV to a convenient news report stating that Mom's acquisition of Planet Express means that she now owns 51% of the Earth, and is therefore its supreme ruler, enslaving the population and instituting a mandatory curfew for everyone lest they be blasted by hoverbot death troopers.
Has anyone ever noticed how Fry always seems to turn on the TV at just the right moment?
They all immediately decide to leave the planet, but the ship is heavily damaged and needs to be repaired. The professor tasks Fry with finding a hammer, and the one he does find is supporting a ludicrous tower of ridiculously heavy objects, and once he dislodges it, he's crushed to death. Fry's brought back to life by the professor's newest invention, the Reanimator, which creates an exact duplicate of someone at the time of their death.
Wow, when did you invent it? About a week ago, and I've been trying to kill you to test it ever since.
After Fry collects the tools to fix the ship, the professor sends him into the sewers in order to find a way to the pawn shop, while avoiding Mom's hoverbot death troopers in order to get back the backup dark matter engine, since the one they have is broken.
Ah, crap!
After Fry returns to Planet Express, the crew leave Earth just before Mom turns the entire planet into a spaceship.
Universe, prepare to be taken over! I give you Spaceship Earth!
Unfortunately, when Mom and her sons try to go after the Planet Express ship with their terraformed golf ball, they realize that they don't have enough power to move the whole planet very far. They learn that they need a dark matter engine to move it, but the only person who can make one for them is the inventor of it, Professor Hubert Farnsworth. Interesting stuff, video game, interesting stuff, but as we know, a game needs to be fun to play, at least for me, so how does it play? Honestly, it's a bit of a mixed bag at best. First off, there are 4 playable characters in total: Fry, Bender, Leela, and Dr. Zoidberg for one level.
Hello!
Each of them has their own slight differences in gameplay to set them apart from each other, and for each act of the game you'll only be playing as one of them. The only constant between all 4 of them is platforming, and all of them besides Zoidberg have their own combat style. You play as Fry for the first act, which consists of 7 levels from Planet Express to an on-rail Chicken Walker level, which I will touch on in a second. Fry uses laser guns to defeat his enemies, from a dinky pistol to a Tommy gun. His lock-on is alright, but doesn't have much range to it. The Chicken Walker level is average, nothing special about it really. Bender uses spinning arms and an elbow dash for his primary melee attacks, with an ass stomp as his mid-air attack, and a faster arm spin for his charge attack. Again, nothing particularly special. Leela, however, actually has a reasonably fluid moveset between basic punches and kicks, a running kick, an aerial kick, and a spin kick as her charge attack that seems to give her temporary invincibility, something which I'm incredibly grateful for when it comes to these kamikaze skeletons she fights. Zoidberg's one level is literally a race to the finish, again, nothing special. Each of the 3 main playable characters have different sets of pickups that all do the same thing. To restore health, Fry has Slurm, Bender has beer, and Leela has pep pills. For standard collectibles, Fry has money, Bender has gems, Leela has gold bars, and Zoidberg has fish bones. Collecting 25 of them will get you an extra life, which is represented by the Reanimator. And yes, in-universe they do play around with the fact that this is a video game.
And we don't even have enough dark matter fuel to get out of the solar system.
Then I guess you'll have to find some, Leela.
Me? But I'm not playable.
You are now.
Woohoo! In your face, non-playable characters! So what was death like, Fry?
Well, first everything went dark. Then this bright light appeared, and it said, "Game over." Good news! I've programmed the Reanimator to work for Bender as well.
Does that mean?
Yes, you're a playable character.
This is the happiest day of my life.
Each level also has a set number of nibblers hidden around and trapped in cages. Break the cages, collect the nibblers, and you get stuff in the extras menu. Same for if you beat all the enemies in a level and get all the collectibles in a level. But there are 2 negative aspects that seem to persist throughout the entire game that plague the experience. Imprecise controls and a wonky camera. This game has a fair bit of platforming, and I learned the hard way that not only do you have to continually hold the left stick after a jump to keep moving while in midair, but that sometimes you're still going to fall to your death because of just how imprecise the controls actually are. This also makes melee combat with Leela a bit more of a pain because, unlike Bender, who uses wider attacks, Leela's hits have a small peripheral range and require a reasonable amount of precision, something that these controls don't easily lend themselves to. And then there's the wonky collision detection, which isn't really apparent until Zoidberg's level. Several times I could swear I avoided a tree or spike trap and moved between them, but I would still die anyway, and it certainly doesn't help that you're unable to stop moving forward so fast, while your horizontal movement is noticeably slow. As for the camera, it moves a bit slowly and doesn't always give you the best view of your surroundings. During Leela's missions though, when you're moving through tight spaces and going in and out of huts and houses, the camera likes to get stuck on walls, forcing you to exit the building and re-enter with the camera at a different angle. Same goes for exiting them too. Thankfully, the left trigger resets the camera, so some of these issues are easily alleviated. Also, a quick note. Like most original Xbox games that are playable on the Xbox 360, Futurama does have a fault in the emulation. Thankfully though, it's a minor and easily fixed problem. Sometimes the controller won't stop vibrating unless you pause the game. Minor hindrance with a simple solution. As far as visuals go, they're adequate, I suppose. The characters are all cel-shaded with black outlines and black lines of detail to help everything look more like the show proper. However, because the game is 3-dimensional and the show is 2-dimensional, there are some character designs that simply don't translate very well, particularly Fry and Leela. Fry's hair horn is typically seen at odd angles due to the nature of the medium, and the same goes for the hair over Leela's eye. Also, her hair is way too damn bright. Pretty much all of the other character designs transitioned very well into 3D, particularly Bender, the Professor, and Zoidberg. The game's cutscenes, despite being made in the same engine as the game itself, are unfortunately pre-rendered and highly compressed, leading to a lot of pixelization and artifacting. I thought that only the PS2 version would have heavy compression, but apparently the Xbox version does too. The game is trying to run at 60 frames per second, but it more often than not dips far below that to around 30. I didn't record at 60 frames per second because I was having issues with that at the moment, but take my word for it, it is trying to run at 60. I didn't have any issues playing the game when the frame rate shifted though, until the boss battle where you play as Leela, where the game got so incredibly choppy that I thought I may not be able to get past it. The music is... well, it's music. Nothing incredible, but it does get very repetitive very fast. The only saving grace is that it was composed by Christopher Ting, who also did the music for the series itself. Does that excuse the blandness of these tunes? No, but hey, at least they got more staff from the show working on it. The only aspects of the game's presentation where it truly shines are in the writing and performances. The show's writers actually penned the script to this game, and all of the original voice actors reprised their roles. It seems like they just wrote a slightly extended episode, and in a sense, that's what they did. If you edit together all the cutscenes, the total runtime is around 30 minutes. In fact, as a bonus feature on the DVD for The Beast with a Billion Backs, this game's cutscenes are edited together as Futurama: The Lost Adventure, with optional commentary from Matt Groening, David Cohen, and others. The game is funny. Not side-splitting, but funny. Well, suppose it's time to delve into spoiler territory, so skip to this time frame if you don't want the story spoiled for you. Mom and her son stop the Planet Express ship over an asteroid with a tractor beam, and Bender abandons ship. Luckily, the professor just programmed the reanimator to make copies of Bender too, and when it lands on top of him, Bender is ready for action. After defeating Walt and freeing the ship from the tractor beam, Bender rejoins the crew in their search for the professor's mentor, Adoy, who lives in the corner of the universe on the planet Bogad. Before they get far, however, Mom hijacks the ship and puts the professor's head in a jar so she can extract the blueprints for the dark matter engine from his brain. She hurls the ship, which Fry, Leela, and Bender are still on, into a nearby sun where they land outside a small town on the surface, their supply of dark matter depleted. The former town leader promises to give them as much dark matter as they need if they defeat their new tyrannical ruler.
Normally that make me leader, but we have little coup d'etat recently.
Was it godless communist?
No, it was God.
Because Fry and Bender won't do it, Leela, now able to be brought back by the reanimator, fights her way to the sun god and defeats him. He then accidentally falls into a vat of lava and dies. After the villagers give the crew dark matter, they finally reach Bogad, where they meet Adoy and also Zoidberg.
Hello?
Adoy tells them that the only way to stop Mom is to go back in time to before she became unstoppable, but the power generator for his time machine is placed far away at the end of a winding path. Zoidberg mounts his new space horse to traverse the path and powers up the time machine to send the crew back in time without him. When they emerge from the vortex, they barely have a safe landing at Planet Express, but they realize that the professor is already about to sign the contract that would give Mom the company. Seeing as how the ship they landed with is wanged up, and that the past versions of themselves are meant to find it like that later, they take the good ship and crash into Mom's meeting with the professor. They warn him about Mom's plan, but she activates a trapdoor, separating them and putting them at the mercy of a modified Destructor. They manage to take him out, but the reanimator is destroyed moments afterward.
Oh no! The reanimator!
Bummer. We'll just have to be careful not to die from now on.
You had to say that. No!
Mom tries to reason with the professor that, because they know that he's supposed to sell Planet Express to cause his crew to come back in time to stop him from selling it, he logically has to sell Planet Express. He refuses and tears up the contract. Mom, however, has one last ace up her sleeve.
How about if I throw in this hat?
The professor then returns to Planet Express with his funky new hat to inform the crew that he sold Planet Express, and the credits roll. Honestly, that's kind of funny. I like it. The thing about time travel plots that I really like is that it promotes active viewership, keeping the audience on their toes and really thinking about what's going on to connect the dots. And Futurama the game does that in a very humorous and logical way. The reason the professor doesn't bring it up earlier in the story, though, is because of two reasons. One, he may already know that they're going to do it. And two, rule of funny's at play. It's Futurama. When everything is said and done, Futurama the game really isn't that good. It's a nice what-if story and a nice sort of episode of the show, but the game has a lot of problems. The lackluster, uninspired gameplay and imprecise controls greatly hinder it as an interactive experience, but the mostly on-point visuals, music, writing, and performances help to elevate it past most licensed games in terms of entertainment value. Is it really worth something around $60? Not really, unless you're a big fan of Futurama, but even then, it's a bit of a stretch. If you want to just watch it as an episode, then you should pick up the Beast with a Billion Backs DVD, as, like I said earlier in this episode, it's edited together as The Lost Adventure with optional commentary. Between the two, I recommend just buying the DVD. It's a lot cheaper, and you don't have to play a mediocre game. Well, that was disappointing. I'm glad I only paid $30 to buy it off a friend as opposed to paying like $60 on eBay, but whatever, it doesn't matter now. Anyway guys, have a good night, and happy gaming.